Hello my friends and welcome to Flying Circus Models. Here's the third and final part of the build final assembly. As you can see, the wing doesn't fit to the fuselage, so I used a file to sand it a bit. Well, a bit, almost half of the plastic was removed, and even though it fits well now, I will need to use a putty to fill out the holes. After I glued the cockpit frame to the left side of the fuselage and both fuselage halves together, I had to use a lot of super glue that will work as putty as well. The parts that were used to handle control cables had holes in the middle, but they are absent in the plastic. So I had to drill them and clean with the scalpel blade number 11. All metal canopy parts were covered with a black primer, as well as a propeller cowl. After, they were painted with aluminum. Resin machine gun ammo was painted with Mr. Metal Brass color, and I glued one cassette to the canopy part. Then top canopy part was glued on its place. After I glued both wings and had to use a lot of putty. Once putty dried, I sanded it with 400 grit sandpaper and 600 after. The next step is to cover the whole model with Mr. Surfacer 1500 primer. Luckily, I sanded everything very well, so I can paint it without the extra sanding step. For the main color, I used Vallejo beige color. After the whole model was masked and I painted all metal parts with aluminum color, you need to mask the whole model because when you paint some parts with any metal paint, the metal powder will fly everywhere and you can find it at any unexpected places. As you can see from the picture, there was a lot of chipping on the real planes. The reason for this effect is that castor oil from engine damaged the paint. To make this effect on the model, I use the salt technique. For this technique, you need to paint the whole model or the part with the metal color first, then just spray water. I used a paintbrush for this. Then you need to pour a regular table salt on that wet surface. After, you can paint the model with a base color, and I painted it with Mr. Hobby black color. Once paint dries, you can remove salt with a dry brush or with water. It's totally up to you. And in the result, you will have a nice looking chipping effect on the model. To add more used effect on the linen and paint, I used a Photo H stencil, and I put a very thin layer of a mix of beige and gray colors. Once the paint job was done, I covered the model with the layer of feature, and it's ready for decals. I used a microsetzel solution to make decals softer, and they are great. Very thin and cover the surface very well. Then one more layer of feature to protect decals. The next step is rigging and our favorite 0.6mm medical needles. We need to cut them with the triangle file to the small pieces. The plastic has the places for the rigging anchor points, so I drilled small holes there. But before the rigging, I had to glue and paint carbon struts and the Vickers machine gun. I use this picture as a reference for the rigging process. It shows very well that the rigging anchor points were double wired. That's why I had to drill 2 holes on each point. I thought a lot about the way of how to make it, and I came up with the idea of gluing small nylon thread pieces, then attaching resin turnbuckles from gazpacho models and gluing the second side of the thread. This time for rigging I decided to try easy line thread. And I used the same rigging technique as usual, but with the new thread. On one hand, it's great, elastic, doesn't have a lot of tension on resin turnbuckles, so they do not break. However, it's very hard to put it through the needle pieces, especially on the way back. Also, I noticed that it's flat in some places, even when it has a tension. Anyway, the rigging is completed. I spent a little bit more time than I had expected, just because of the new material. The link on the video of propeller build you can find in the description. I attached deflector and needles instead of plastic tubes and glued cowl into it. Brown water-based wash was used for the oil leaks and to add more used effect on the model. Then the model was covered with Mr. Hobby flat clear layer, and I used dry pigments for wheels and bottom side of the wings and fuselage. The final touch is to glue the air screw with cowl, and I can say that the model is completed. As usual, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, press like button and leave your comments below. I read and reply to all of them. Also, if you would like to support my channel, you can do it on Patreon, where you can see my videos early. Also, I share some interesting pictures there. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching and see you in the next builds.